I just want people to realize the scale of this destruction, of this disaster. If you look at the height where this tree was scoured, it's several feet high, completely wiped out. It's the only tree in the area big enough to survive. Yeah, there's no access to this area over here. You can access all the other parts where a lot of the work is being done. But in this area, where the things are that you don't want to see, that people don't want you to see, this is where there's no road access, so we had to walk in. This is how deep the tailings were. I want people to know this is not a success story. This is not restoration. The tailings are still here, and they're being covered up. This is crime scene, and they're doing a really poor job of covering up the evidence. And for the government to give Imperial Metals a permit to restart is shameful. This is all tailings. They're still here. They're still toxic.
There's a lot of places in Quenelle Lake that have 10 meters of sediment that have been deposited, which are either tailings or scour material. We can definitively say that that material is moving both upstream and downstream in Quenelle Lake through this sediment plume. But in terms of how it gets into the food web, I mean, could be tomorrow, could be next year. If you really drill it down, I think one of the biggest natural concerns is the salmon. And so on a 4-year cycle, salmon coming back to this lake can account for between 25 and 60% of the entire Fraser run of sockeye. So that's astonishing. That's an absolutely huge amount of fish coming back every 4 years.
Watching some of the videos on the Imperial Metals website, they've got a couple of restoration videos on there now. It's almost like it was put together by the BBC Life series. Nice piano music in the background, nice guitar.
These photos, taken on June the 12th, shows how the lower Hazeltine area is beginning to green up as a result of that planting work.
I think what bothers me the most is that they talk a lot about the reconstruction about Hazeltine Creek, but in the videos they completely ignore the fact that these tailings are still here. They're basically rebuilding this ecosystem on top of toxic tailings. What they've done here is they removed a lot of the tailings where the creek flows, but a lot of them still remain up here on the banks. So we saw them last time when the tailings were still exposed, doing this work of covering it up with mulch. And if you dig down a bit, you can still see that the tailings are sitting right here. This finer material, that's the tailings we would see covering this whole area last time we were here. It's a lot finer than the natural material in this area. It has very little organic matter, and it exceeds the limits for, most importantly, copper and a few other metals.